Good evening and welcome, Warriors, to another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan. Robert, man, what's happening?
Well, not a heck of a lot, man. It's kind of excited to get back in at least for 1 week here, as I missed 2 weeks ago, and Alicia sat in here with you, and so I'm back here in the studio for 1 week. Is next week is crazy again, but
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying. The audio is so weird right now. Hopefully, if anybody's listening, it's not weird for you, but it is weird in my headphones right now.
yeah, it's a little different, but oh well, it sounds good in mine right now. So, first of all, let's get the elephant out of the room. Happy birthday! How was your birthday yesterday?
I don't talk about.
You got to call an LCSC baseball game.
Yeah, I got a call. See, it was a day. It's not a birthday. It was a day. I don't
I-
care.
well, I mean-
I'm old.
Well, you're not as old as I am,
I'm
but
just
you
old.
are hitting that milestone of this is your last year in your 30s.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm so excited. It's so exciting.
Hey, this is
My body has already given up on me this week. That's this giant sinus infection that refuses to go away.
well. The funny thing is this here in about a month and a half, it'll be my last year in the 40s. So I mean, I don't want to hear it. I got you beat by 10 years, but also another happy birthday. A buddy of ours, Pete Williams. Happy birthday today. His birthday. He's getting older. He's older than both of us a lot.
It happens to all of us. It's just absolute. It's just I can't like anymore.
It's just another day. Exactly. It's just another day. But we can celebrate it.
That was not the what I wanted to download. But that's right. Nothing is going correct. That is, I guess, what we should expect from coming back into the studio for 1 week after being away for a little bit. Alicia and I were here a couple weeks ago when she was covering for you. Nothing worked. Right now, everything is not working well. Again, if you're out there and listening, let us know how it sounds to you. I am over here frantically moving things around. I think I finally gotten it. Not weird, just me. Sweet. It is just me. Dwayne, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Because you know what? I'm used to it just being me.
Oh, well.
But I think
I think both of our
things-
spouses would tell us that all the time too.
I think I have things moved around correctly now. We will see. But
We'll play it by ear.
but if not,
All
yeah,
right, I'm
that'll be me. That's what'll be happening to me if I can't get this figured out. We got a very, very fun show for it's that weird time of year nationally,
right.
for two people like us that we're not huge basketball fans. You're telling to go up?
Yeah, I'm deaf in my ears. I did.
You have hearing aids that you can bring.
I know.
You're allowed to bring them to the show. Is that better?
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
We're fine. Sound testing during the show. This is what we have on episode 123. Professionalism. But neither of us are huge basketball fans. We'll cover it for high school and LC stuff, and we'll get into it live. But neither of us are big NBA fans, or we're not super NHL fans. So we're at that point now in the year, like March Madness. I get into
Right.
It's about time for me. I'm into college basketball by now. I just have not yet with just everything else going on.
I was gonna say we're way too busy with everything else.
I'm not used to making 5 trips to Coeur d'Alene in a month. And a trip to Grangeville on top of a couple baseball games and stuff. So I haven't sat down and really watched basketball. But even when I am sitting down, I'm scrolling through YouTube and I'm not switching on college basketball like I used to. So, we do have March Madness to look forward to. But really, for the two sports that you and I are really into, the NFL, we're kind of in that waiting period between the end of season and the off season. And Major League Baseball, spring training has started, and we'll be able to talk about some of the cool stuff that is going on there. But we're still waiting for, actual games to begin. The World Baseball Classic will kind of help with that, with that starting next week. So those games will have a bit more importance to them than we would with spring training games. And then maybe people can stop complaining about the pitch clock, because holy crap, I'm tired of the complaining about it. But we'll talk about it,
because
that as well. So nationally, we have to get a little creative with the stuff you and I are going to talk about. But locally, there's a lot.
Yeah. Well, you saying that is I had this conversation this morning because I was at school a little bit early, and state archery guys were finishing up practice. And so one of our listeners that comes in, one of my students came in, and we sat and we talked, and he's like, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to fill 2 hours." I'm like, football's not much news. Football, I couldn't tell you how many times I went to NFL news and MLB news and all that kind of stuff, and nothing update. And he's like, "Well, you can talk about NBA." Like, really? No. Here's why. And him and I broke it down, and we looked at it. Is we're at right now like 240. He was talking about all the accolades going on with LeBron and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, but 240,000 points have already been scored this year.
Yeah.
Last year was 272,000. So we brought up like the past years of all of the points, and we're already well over what in the late 80s, early 90s was totally for the year scored in points. I said, why would we want to talk about anything that is not defense related and all that? Him and I kind of dove into some stats and looked at, percentages and how the 3-point, and we all know that the 3-point line didn't come in until the late 70s.
Yeah. By the time you graduated college.
Yeah. But looking at all that, and we looked at how the data just looks so really weird nowadays because everybody's just like, Richie and I had the same conversation on Sunday. I mean, you look at the over-unders now for NBA games, and they're in the 240s, 250s. Like, that's
wasn't there a game just a couple days ago that it was like 180s?
Well, you had the All-Star game, but
no, not even that. I want to say there was an NBA game recently that somebody hit a crazy shot to win the game, and I swear the scores were in the like 160s, 170s.
Oh, I don't remember that one. The one that Richie and I were talking about was
let's see if I can find it.
Was a game that happened on Sunday, and it ended up being a game-winning shot, and it was 129, 127. I'm like, it makes no sense.
Will you do me a favor and put on one of the pop filter deals on your thing real quick?
Is that
there we go.
Maybe that's what it is.
Some of the popping and stuff that I'm hearing. So just things that get moved around. He's using a different mic that we haven't used before, and things are fun. Things are absolutely fantastic here at the end of February. Here it is. It was double overtime, so we will give them that.
Okay.
They went to 2 overtimes, right. But even before overtime, the Sacramento Kings and Los Angeles Clippers, this was on Friday, they went into overtime tied at 153. The Kings ended up winning that game 176-175 in double overtime.
There's no defense. That's the problem.
No, I mean, there's no defense. I think the athletes have gotten better. The rules have allowed for less contact to be made, and we've had that conversation as well. And that's just not our style of basketball that we liked, especially in the pros. But they did that because back, in the 90s, other than a select few like Michael Jordan, there wasn't superior athletes, we would say, in the NBA. So the scores were in the 80s or 90s, and there weren't fan 3-point shooters like Reggie Miller. Nobody really knew the analytics to say, just start hacking up those threes. Like Reggie Miller, possibly the second greatest 3-point shooter of all time. Ray Allen is right up there as well. But I think in the 90s, we didn't realize how strong that shot was. And he didn't take as many as he probably would have if we would have known that information. So the game's just different, and that's fine. And it's just not for us. And, it's doing fine. It's what it is.
It is what it is.
You and I talking about basketball is like some of these people talking about the changes in baseball and hating it. It's went in a direction that's not really for us. That's fine. I don't care. But we're not going to talk about it.
There's your NBA talk for this week on the R&R Sports.
Hey, Robert Taylor is here. Right in time for us to get to the fun stuff. Actually, before we get to the fun stuff, we will be updating throughout the night. The LCSC women's basketball team is over there facing Eastern Oregon as they are trying to lock down the conference championship game. Both Eastern Oregon and LC had tied in the regular season. They both split against each other. So they had a coin toss, a week or two ago, whatever it was, to figure out who was going to be the 1 seed and who was going to get the automatic bid. LC got the automatic bid. EOU got the 1 seed for the conference tournament. So that's why that game's being played over there for the championship. And right now it is halftime, and Eastern Oregon is up on LC 37-28. So right now the Warriors are trailing right now. We'll keep you updated as that game goes along. And looking at the point totals, Callie Stevens has really been shut down right now, just 1 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc. But Hannah Broyles, who's really been turning things around the last few weeks after an injury, leads the way with 12 points for LC. So we'll see what they're able to do in the second half. We'll keep you updated. Either way, LC is going to be hosting be one of these sites to host the first 2 rounds for the NAIA National Championship Tournament, which is very, very cool. Even cooler is I will be able to, I'm calling those 3 games that we are hosting on the LC Warriors site, because NAIA rules for normal home games, you can just sync in with the radio station.
Right.
This is not a typical home game. It would be the same if we were hosting the conference tournament. They wouldn't be able to do that. So you have to have a different feed for the video than what you had for the radio. So we can't take it from Danner. So I get to be the secondary feed for some people. So it'll be kind of fun. And actually, my freshman year, I got to do that with Bert Thalberg. And now Bert is the color guy for Danner. So it's I get to be the guy. So it'll be fun.
Well, yeah, you get to do game, and I'll do the show next week.
Yep, Robert.
There you go, Robert Taylor. You want to join me, Robert Taylor, and you and I can do the game?
Let's keep it with the R&R Sports Report, and then Robert Taylor and Robert Hagan could be on the show next Tuesday. Robert Taylor has said hey, which means yes.
Yeah, he's probably doing his dishes or something like he was last week. He stepped away.
As long as he's listening. Also, the Idaho Vandals fired their head coach.
Big news.
Zach Claus. Is it?
Well, I think it was big because it was like just a few minutes after the game. I mean, barely over the game.
Way too long, anyways. 28-88 as a head coach.
Oh,
this was the most. It's written on the wall firing of all time.
Well, I think so. I mean,
Robert,
eight's here.
Taylor, we'll fill you in later. Don't worry about it. Just be free.
Be free
in front of a camera on Tuesday.
There you go. No, I mean 8 seasons, but 4 years as the head coach. Yeah. I mean, we only have 1 year that's a 10-game winning streak, but or winning games. But for them to do it just like minutes after the game's over, I mean, he probably didn't even have time to go into his office.
They probably said it's going to be done anyways. Just finish out the year, and then we'll just end it there.
Because his contract was up at the end of the year too.
He was not getting renewed. I'll just say 2 words: Zach Eastman.
Dude, that would look so nice. But how would you pull Zach Eastman from there to go? Go up the road a little bit, but
go up the road.
College teach
program,
college now.
NCAA. Terrell Ellenwood Jones is already there. Then maybe you can talk Case Wynot into coming too. And there you go. Just saying. Idaho would be the one making the mistake if they didn't do it.
Right.
Not Zach. Yep. Period. All right. Let's get into before the NFL offseason again. We're kind of in that waiting period. The combine starts on Thursday.
Thursday.
The combine might be the dumbest thing in all of sports.
I forget which team I heard said that they were not going.
The Jets did not bring any coaches.
I don't remember which
one. The GM,
I think, that said, the GM, I'm not going.
And like an owner or something, like managers and stuff are going for the Jets, but none of the coaches are going. It's, to me, what are you going to tell?
Right.
From them running around. We get overhyped on these people anyways. And
Jets don't need anybody there. They already know where they need to go.
Yeah, big fat guy.
Sign me up. I'll sign it.
Whoever's the best big fat guy when pick number 13 shows up, that's where the Jets are going to go with the first pick. Though Derek Carr, the NFL Combine, so we'll see how that goes. He is meeting with the Panthers, Saints, and the ownership part of the New York Jets. He will not be meeting with the coaches. But the big news that has really come out and we can semi-talk about, and I'll bring it up to you, the whole Russell Wilson Athletic article that came out
Right.
that said that Russell Wilson had requested for Pete Carroll and the GM, who I'm blanking on the GM's name,
John,
but asking for them to be released and wanting Sean Payton to come in. And to me, that kind of, if it feels sort of true, this story, it might have been a suggestion like, hey, we've reached our peak. We need to come up with something different, but not a straight demand by any means, I think, from Russell Wilson. But I do think that is kind of why when Wilson left, that, the coaching staff and GMs were like, yeah, what a tool bag that guy was, right? Yeah. So there was definitely some animosity on the way out. Actually, the part of the story that really got me had nothing to do with Seattle. It was when he got to Denver, they gave the man an office on the same floor as like the general manager and stuff. So I forget who I was listening to who was talking about it. It's probably Rich Eisen because I listened to him the most. But it was like players would get in the elevator and go to the floor where usually when you're going there, it's to get cut.
Right.
And you're going there to meet with your quarterback. It's like, what weird situation that had to have been. So part of the reason why the Denver Bronco Russell Wilson experiment did not work the first year is it was not handled the best, according to this Athletic article. What do you think of all this stuff?
And I think the biggest thing for me is looking at all this stuff is not all families going to like each other, right?
No.
You're going to have that issue, and I think that's what happened is, if they respected each other enough, but they fell out of liking each other, and so do I think Russell made comments like that? I think maybe so, but maybe it wasn't quite in the way that the journalists for the Athletic had wrote the story out, and I think that's the bigger part. Do I think they needed to make the change? I think it was one or the other. Somebody had to go or somebody had to make a change. But, proving this last year what the coaching staff did with Gino and up there, they were a lot better than what, and you and I are both on record of saying that they're a lot better than what we thought was going to happen. And so, maybe it was a good omen to see him come out. But as far as the office thing, I didn't hear that until now. So that's kind of crazy.
Find the clip that I was listening to again. It was most likely the Rich Eisen show where they were talking about it. And come to find out again from the same thing that I was watching, when Hackett got released from Denver, which, he's now with the Jets, but in a lower role, that the interim coach, again, somebody I'm absolutely blanking their name on right now, had basically said, all right, we're done with this office thing. And Wilson went back into the locker room, and Denver looked better the last couple of games. So is that going to be a sign of things for the Broncos next season, that they can right the ship a bit? We will see. Obviously, the hype around them, and neither of us were really on board with this Bronco hype. I even think I had Denver last in our preseason. But they've been far along deleted. But it was between them and the Raiders. I know I took the Chargers to win the division and the Chiefs to be the other team to make the playoffs. But we didn't really buy into the Broncos. But now with a year later, and with Sean Payton, which has been proven through all of this, that is the guy that Russell Wilson wanted, will next year be that year where the hype is somewhat real for Denver, and then we have to hear that let's ride crap for another year.
Well, let's talk about the ride. You look at that Sean Payton now, head coach there, and you look at his play calling and how many you think Russell Wilson can handle all of that. I mean, if Drew Brees can handle it, definitely he can. But you also look at this team. Is this team going to be the combination, now with Joe Lombardi being hired as their offensive coordinator, Vance Joseph hired, I want to say yesterday, as defensive coordinator for Denver. So now you got 3 new coaches there. Could it be the hype? That's exactly the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the team that's going to make them a playoff caliber team? I love the way that Sean Payton coaches. with his fire and the way he
Right.
it does. I love that, but I just it's
We're
still kind of
we're a really long ways away, and we did the same thing with the way too early Super Bowl predictions, where it's like, we're just throwing names at the wall at this point. We'll see what happens when we get closer to the regular season. We'll see what free agents get moved, what trades happen, and what happens at the draft. But right now, I can't see it.
I mean, it's still Kansas City's division,
Oh, yeah,
along with the
100%.
Chargers. As long as the Chargers can figure out what
the Chiefs are most likely going to win the division again next year, and we'll see if I pick against them just for fun or not. But they are the best team in that division and best team, obviously, in the NFL. Chargers are a very good team. We'll see what the Raiders do with what quarterback they're going to possibly bring in.
I ain't done yet there, Robert, because I'm going to make a comment here in a minute that's probably going to really upset you.
All right, so you talk about playoffs. All right.
Yes,
Do I have
playoffs.
that? Yeah, I do.
Playoffs? We'll talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
So
Yes.
it's just Chiefs, Chargers. That's 2
Right.
spots.
I agree.
Buffalo. That's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
4. We'll say Baltimore if
Mhm.
Lamar stays. Right?
Yes.
That's 5. Jacksonville has continued to improve and is going to look better. That's 6. So that already only leaves you 1 spot. Tennessee's always decent enough. There's a team called the Jets that if they could get a quarterback, they could be pretty good. Miami was all right. The AFC stacked.
So
I
here's
wouldn't put Denver in my top 10 AFC power rankings right now.
and we talked about where we stack these guys, but
Mhm.
AFC West was good, and so here's my question.
We thought it was going to be great.
We thought it was going to be great, but here's where I'm going to take this one step differently, and Robert might disagree with me just a little bit.
Okay.
Are we talking about his ankle now, Dwayne, or what? But here's the biggest thing for me. Eric Bieniemy is now gone. Eric Bieniemy is now making his way to Washington, where he's going to get to play caller, all that.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You upgraded and moved Nagy. Not Nagy. Now you're offensive coordinator who could not make anything happen in Chicago. Guess what? There's your new guy.
Okay, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Bronco coach that I've looked. God, what is with
Hackett?
me? Hackett. Holy crap. This sinus infection it's sitting. I swear, it feels like it's sitting in my ears and it's just eating away at my brain.
Yes, Nagy, the same Nagy that dragged Mitch to the playoffs twice.
Right.
Drug. And then
well, yes. If you get Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs, you're doing a pretty good job. But 2, just like I was saying about Nathaniel Hackett, going from head coach to offensive coordinator, that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, especially when now you're the offensive coordinator underneath Andy Reid, which obviously was the only reason Eric Bieniemy was not getting head coaching jobs, because it's all Andy Reid's doing and not Eric Bieniemy's doing. It's not anything possibly other stuff that is happening that we don't need to get it back into on the show. Oh man, that stuff drives me absolutely nuts.
Right.
And it's just, I feel bad for Eric. And
I do
God,
too.
he needs to get a head coaching job. However, for Matt Nagy to now go back to be an offensive coordinator at a team that he was an offensive coordinator at before, he's going to get right back in.
Right.
I don't think it's a downgrade at all for Kansas City.
It'll be interesting. I mean,
and again, I hate agreeing with Robert Taylor. He drugged Richard Trubisky to the playoffs. You don't have to drag Patrick Mahomes to anything unless his ankle was really, really bad, and then you might have to drag him along because or let him hobble around. But it's a slightly different situation for him. I think Kansas City will be just okay.
It's going to be interesting, and that was the other thing. I'm trying to remember what I saw today that was the whole idea of, Mitchell Trubisky is wanting to be long term in or they're wanting him to be long term in Pittsburgh. I just don't see it.
Is that just that like as a long-term backup?
It's
Because
got
Kenny
you would,
Pickett's the guy.
you would think so.
I don't know. I didn't see much of that, nor do I really care. Washington Commanders parted ways with Carson Wentz. Speaking of news that I don't care about, unless Carson Wentz ends up on the Jets, and then I will blow a gasket for 20 minutes on this show. Robert Taylor and I have had many conversations about all of the quarterbacks that I would be cool with to come to the Jets. There are two right now that are slightly possibilities that if they become the new quarterback for the Jets, I would rather just have Zach Wilson and just run the team into the Jets. If I hear Carson Wentz to the Jets or Ryan Tannehill to the Jets, I don't think we could do the next show here because I cannot say College State.
I think this is just my opinion over watching the last few days news-wise. Is it me or is the New York Jets basically the team? It's in everybody's mouth. Seriously,
everywhere.
I mean, I get tired of listening to the idea of Lamar Jackson's going to end up in New York wearing green. No.
Maybe I didn't send it to you because you're not a Last of Us fan, but I had gotten stuff about Jets where it was like just all the other fans are just tired of listening to Jet stuff, and it's a weird feeling.
But
and a lot of it is positive, which is weirder.
Well, even when we didn't really talk much about Aaron Rodgers, him coming out of his 4-day
he has a
deep sleep or whatever. He was out in two. He was out in two. So I mean, I don't know. Who would you take out of those three? The names I keep hearing coming to New York. I keep hearing Carr. I keep hearing Rodgers, and I hate saying it, but the other one, Lamar Jackson.
I take Carr. You give up 0 draft picks. He is the least financial burden on your team, and he has a huge chip on his shoulder.
Right,
and he's going to play with the best defense he's ever played with. Period. We can talk about the weapons and stuff, and maybe his numbers don't go up, but you don't need his numbers to go up. You take Derek Carr from what he was doing with the Raiders, and you put him on the Jets with that defense, and a hopefully healthy Breece Hall for the rest of for a whole season. The Jets are playoff.
I told you, I think that was the biggest killer to your team all year.
Zach Wilson had to throw it more, and it just became horrible. So, no, Carr's one. And then it's a flip a coin, honestly, for Rodgers. It depends on what you have to give up for Rodgers. Right? If the Packers are dead set on getting the 13th pick this year, then I'd rather spend 2 for Lamar Jackson and have him locked up for years.
Right.
I will not complain if we get Aaron Rodgers, but that's such a short-term fix. And and again, while people just go nuts about look how bad Brett Favre was for the Jets. The Jets were 8-3, and then he blew out his shoulder and refused to tell anybody, and then it imploded.
Right.
Brett Favre was really good on New York for those first half of the season, a little bit more than half of the season. It was just the final chapter was garbage.
Right.
But so again, as long as it's not Tannehill, and as long as it's not Wentz, there's gonna be a smile on this face. As long as it's anybody, there has to be somebody. It's not one of those two.
So with that being said, what led us this direction was all of the other things we're hearing out of Washington. How about the Daniel Snyder saga continuing now with the whole he loaned money out of his.
I don't care anymore. It's
when
the
NFL
stuff.
When is the NFL going to basically say you're done? The team over to
it needs to have already happened. It's so annoying, and just one of those news cycles that just hits and you're like, I don't care anymore. I can't put any more energy into it. He's a joke of a human being, and the fact that he is one of 32 people that own a team is absolutely insane. Let's get into let's have some fun. You want to have a little bit of fun?
All right.
Let's play some Believe It or Not. We haven't done this in a while. Again, when the NFL is in full swing, we kind of get into a rhythm and a set format to get through all the NFL stuff and then trying to jam pack everything else into the second hour. Now that we can spread things out a little bit, we can have a little bit more fun, but we'll still stick with the NFL for a little bit longer, as we will play some off season, believe it or not. We will go back to the quarterbacks
All right.
a little bit. You don't need to say a team. Again, Derek Carr is meeting with the Saints, Panthers, and Jets this weekend at the NFL Combine. But believe it or not, Derek Carr will sign with a team before our next show.
I think yes, and part of that, because it's yes, is, you know, he's already met once with the Saints. What was it, last week or week before last? I boil it down. I think he's either a Saint or he's a Jet within about a week, because all the money all the money, I believe, was what, March 15th, when wages are totally set. If I remember right. I want to say it's like
there's
March
good
15th.
questions in there. That March 15th is like the free agency date,
right?
I think, and I think he will get signed before the free agency date, because that's when all hell will break loose and all the other players become available, and then we'll see what happens with Lamar and the franchise tag stuff. I was thinking he was going to get signed before all the tag stuff, but we still have another 2 weeks before or is it 1 week before it's dead set?
Yeah,
they've opened today. The teams are going to. Baltimore's not going to rush out.
I only saw one person get tagged today,
and it's just like they will wait and they will use up as much time as possible, trying to still re-sign Lamar and figure out all their options before that happens. But I do think Carr will still be the first quarterback to sign somebody because he does have that jump start on everybody. But I do not think it will be on the next show. It will probably be on the next show that you and I are on. But in the end,
I don't believe it.
All right. So Bobby Wagner got released from the Rams, who are kind of turning tail away from their who cares about draft picks movement. It worked. It won them a Super Bowl. And now they have to figure out how to create or get away from this void that they created.
I agree.
So Bobby Wagner's gone. There's been a lot of rumors that Jalen Ramsey, the star cornerback for the Rams, could be on the move trade-wise, which could give the Rams some draft capital. So believe it or not, Jalen Ramsey will be traded by the Rams.
I think there's a strong possibility. I think it ties with him a little bit. His defense this last year, to me, not saying this, just me, I didn't think it was what it was over the past couple of years. But people's productivity is up and down. I mean, it's like in any job. There's days that you're really, really good, and then other days it's like, who gives a rat's what's going on? I think for me, watching him play this last year, it was just kind of like he didn't have that fire to go get it. I think he could be a great person somewhere where that might be.
Yeah, winning changes everything, and with everybody that got injured for the Rams, obviously it was tough for Ramsey to really put 100% in there when that season was imploding around him horribly. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think he does get traded, and I don't think that means the Rams are done. The Rams have a lot of good weapons and a lot of solid players still. Are they going to be a Super Bowl contender next year? Maybe not. But they're good enough to possibly play a playoff team in the NFC, even with losing Jalen Ramsey. They just have to kind of maneuver some things to keep themselves a little bit more relevant than they were hoping, because they really thought that they were going to give themselves a 2-3 year window.
Right.
And then the injury bug hit them hard last year, and it really messed up.
So with that being said, when you typed this in there earlier, I looked and I read a couple of things. So the teams that keep popping up for places for the rumors of him going, I could see all three of them really putting a big push to it, and that's the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Bills. I could see them making.
God, of course it would be the Bills.
That's the thing. I mean, where would one
stay in the NFC, Jalen? Stay over there. Yeah. Stop filtering everything back to the AFC, please. Can't do it. Just can't do it anymore. All right.
AFC's dominant.
Next one.
Know that.
Now, there's a lot of rumors. What are the Bears going to do with the number one pick? Are they going to trade Justin Fields and pick a quarterback with the number one pick, and they have this whole big load of picks from Justin Fields, because obviously their team, they need a lot of help. So my question to you, a little bit even crazier. Usually we come up with all these crazy situations, and none of it plays out. Like, oh, all these trades are going to happen, and everything's going to go absolutely wacky, and then we get one trade in the first round. Correct. However, Mel Kiper came out with a second mock draft today, and he had 2 trades in the first 5 picks of the first round of this year's NFL draft. So do you believe it or not that we will have those 2 trades in the first 5 picks?
As much as I like Mel Kiper and even his crazy way he talks, especially on draft night, I don't even see I don't even see one made in the top 10.
So you don't?
I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
The Bears aren't going to do any of that.
I think the Bears like the idea of having Justin Fields. I mean, he proved himself. This year,
then you have a number one pick.
I like I told you last week.
2 really good quarterbacks.
I really think that they've got to make a play for a defensive guy, or they've got to make a play for running
and you
guy.
can trade down a couple picks and get that same defensive player, because somebody's going to overpay for Bryce Young.
I still don't see. I maybe one, but I don't see any.
Well, the way he had it is the Bears doing the reverse of what happened years ago and having Houston trade to move up 1 spot to then get their quarterback. So then Chicago would drop to 2, and then Chicago would trade with Indy.
Okay.
So Indy would move up to the 2 spot, and the Bears would get 2 trades worth of picks and drop 3 spots. That would be brilliant by the Bears, because they would still basically get either the best or second best defensive player on the board, because the first 2 teams would take quarterbacks, obviously. And you just picked up 10 picks to drop down 3. That would be a great move. Will it happen? All right. Just for you, sir, since I won't be here next week to have some fun with you about this, Baltimore will lock in Lamar Jackson with the exclusive franchise tag. That means no other team could negotiate with the Lamar, and if they came up with a deal, all they would have to do is give Baltimore 2 picks if the Ravens didn't want to match said offer. So Baltimore doesn't want to mess with any of that, so they're just going to pay the extra money and keep Lamar exclusively. I just hope he's not too mad about it. Do you believe it or not? Actually, I don't know what that's from, but
here's my thing.
Yep.
And I wish he was listening. Lamar Jackson. Here we go. Lamar, listen to Ray Lewis. You're going to stay in
Lamar Jackson definitely listens to the R&R
Listen,
Sports.
yeah. I'm going to send him the link. No, I don't think they want to give him Bugs Bunny. I don't know.
Oh, is that what that's from? That's what the thing is from.
Okay. I just
Thanks,
do not. I know they want to hold on to him, and with the new offensive coordinator, putting the idea to Lamar that he is an elite quarterback, could that be enough to get him to stick around? No. It all boils down to guaranteed money. That's what it is. It is a payment, but I don't see them using an exclusive franchise tag. I think give him the money, but let's get it done now. I don't think it happens. I don't think they put the exclusive on it. Hello there, Miss Hill. How are you this evening? And she can't even spell my name.
Well, we won't make fun of her.
No, that's okay.
No, I don't think it'll be an exclusive tag, because I think Baltimore's wants him to go out and shop. Because then, if he finds something that he wants, they can go, that sounds reasonable. We'll go ahead and offer you the same. And if it's over the top, they're like, all right, we'll take the first 2 picks. Thanks.
Right.
We're very happy with 2 first-round picks. 100%. So I think Baltimore's in a decent situation here as far as coming up with a different way to make this work with Lamar. The problem is, if you are the Baltimore Ravens and you drag this out for a little bit, and you put the franchise tag on him right at the end, and teams go out and negotiate with him, and it takes a week or two because we're trying to figure out what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, trying to figure out what's going on with Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo, and all these other quarterbacks. And then finally, a team that missed out on all those just goes, screw it, I'm going all in. Lamar, here's $200 million, all guaranteed for 5 years, or whatever ridiculous thing they want to do. And Lamar goes, you got a deal. Baltimore either has to go, well, crap, we have to do this now, or they're stuck with Tyler Huntley. Because you're not going to get 2 first-round picks from a team high enough to get one of these top quarterbacks this year.
Right.
So then do you tank away for some of the quarterbacks that are supposed to be even better coming in next year's draft? Or do you go out and try to get a Ryan Tannehill or a Carson Wentz or something? So if you wait too long, all these other great quarterbacks that everybody else is fishing for are going to be gone.
Right. I figured it out as you were saying it.
Yep.
Here we go. Offer him an office.
An office.
Give him an
I
office.
don't think Lamar cares about an office. He wants
No,
guaranteed.
he wants guaranteed money, but I think too with the guy that they hired, coming from Georgia, offensive coordinator, had Bennett there as kind of a roaming quarterback, and now he's made it quite publicly known he's elite. He's a good player. I wouldn't want to take a chance and play 1 year, but yeah, I mean, you make a great point. I mean, if they put that exclusive on there, or even just put a tag on him, let him listen, and then you come back to him and say, "Hey, John, guess how much? Eric, guess how much you're going to offer me? What are you going to do?"
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's one of those storylines that
One way.
I have zero idea what's going to
It just seems like your team and my team have been in the NFL, fandom's mouths all off season so far.
All right, so
it's either the Jets or Lamar.
So let's finish off, believe it or not, talking about our teams. Let's do one more real quick.
All right, one more.
Real quick.
There's nothing.
I know, we're already 15 minutes behind, but that's okay. Believe it or not,
Right.
the New York Football Jets will make it to a Super Bowl before Baltimore.
No.
What?
No.
When you lose Lamar and you're stuck with Tyler Huntley for a few years, so you go, well, this sucks. And then John Harbaugh goes, you know what? Retirement sounds good because I don't want to have to deal with rebuilding. And he leaves. And then the Ravens are trying to rebuild while Cincinnati has created a little dynasty up there in the AFC North.
You got Joe Flacco right now.
No, we don't. He's a free agent.
Is he free agent?
He's a free agent. He hasn't been officially cut, but his contract is up. They have not re-signed him, so he will become a free agent. Yes. So
maybe he'll go down to Miami.
Somewhere. It'd be great. Just anywhere else. Let him go be the backup for the Chiefs.
Listen, I told you I was so high on him last year. I think Robert Saleh was a great move for the New York Jets. A huge move. Breece Hall, great move. What they were doing with him. Yes. That one piece. I mean, your defense. How many times did I message you and look at it?
Yeah. Top 5 defense.
Williams. What is Williams doing?
Top 5 defense in the league. Sauce Gardner's the best cornerback already in the league, according to the Pro Football Focus weird ass numbers that they have. I still don't believe in the numbers. However, they say Sauce Gardner's number 1, so I'm following PFF right now. Also, Garrett Wilson, top wide receiver.
It scares me going into next year, knowing what could happen. What could happen with a quarterback?
Just give us a quarterback. However, you know me in preseason,
right?
And now the Jets get the Hall of Fame game too.
I didn't even put that in notes. I texted you that, and I'm like,
it was something I predicted.
Right.
I think I even brought it up with Alicia when we were talking about the players that got into the Hall of Fame. And like, Jets made the Hall of Fame, so the Jets will play in the Hall of Fame game. It made sense. They'll play the Browns. They do get that extra week in between. None of the main people are going to play more than a series in that game. I'm not super worried, but just go out there and bubble wrap. Whoever the quarterback is, just go out there and bubble wrap. please. Update, unfortunately, for the LCSC Warrior women's basketball team. They are now down 65-49 to Eastern Oregon in the Cascade Conference Championship final. And there's only about 5 minutes to go. So it does look like LC, unless they go on a crazy run here in the final 5 minutes, will end up being the runner-ups in the Cascade tournament. Eastern Oregon's been absolutely fantastic. Both teams 28-2, and one of those 2 losses for each of those 2 teams were against each other this season. Again, it does not mess up anything for LC. They will host Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll talk more about that later on in the show and get you ready for that stuff. But unfortunately, that is not the funnest update that we can give you there. Let's get into some baseball. You're ready for baseball?
I am, man. It's been a long time coming. Just watching.
Yes.
There were so many great plays in spring training games. Just watching.
I'm still
catches.
Not as much as I love baseball. Right, it's my favorite sport. Once the season starts, I watch probably at least one game a day, at least part of a game, or I'll have at least one game on in the background. I can't do spring training. I watch highlights. I'll check out how some of the young players are doing. Jason Dominguez looks fantastic for the Yankees. The call from Philadelphia of his first spring training home run was fantastic. I'm into it. I just can't sit and watch.
And I'm still upset. And I don't know whether or not you can answer this question or not. Still arguing with Dish Network. Still arguing with Root. They are not bringing them back. Root is not going back to Dish, and they've already made.
That's
and
crazy.
I'm so frustrated because now I can't watch on anything. So the other station, and we brought it up last week when we were talking about the World Baseball Classic being on Fox, FS1,
Tubi?
FS2. Does Tubi have it? Is Tubi a possibility of having Seattle Mariners baseball?
Probably not, because I mean, as far as regional stuff. However, baseball has really branched out, at least last year.
Right.
I mean, I was able to, and I haven't gotten the offer yet, but the T-Mobile stuff.
Oh yeah, I already
T-Mobile Tuesdays will offer the MLB package. Hasn't yet. They offered me Major League Soccer package.
But the bad thing is it's in our local,
yeah,
and so I
the
get
Mariners
blocked out.
But I'm just saying, so we're going to have access to that here shortly. Hopefully, they'll do it again this year. I expect so. However, Apple TV had a ton of. There was like 2 or 3 games a night almost. It felt like, or at least during the weekends, that Apple TV had on. It's kind of the same price as Netflix. Then you can go watch Ted Lasso. That show is absolutely fantastic. There's probably other stuff on Apple TV. I have no idea. But for me, it was baseball and Ted Lasso. It might become worth it if there's no Mariners. The Mariners won't always be on there.
Right.
But that's something. YouTube TV had a game or 2 a week as well. So they're branching out a lot more on top of the couple games on ESPN, couple games on Fox, TBS.
Right.
So there's more national games than there used to be a few years ago. But yes, totally get it for any Mariners fans out there that are getting hit by this Root stuff. And I want to say there was another brand that was kind of like Root that's like going for bankruptcy, right? That has like, what was it, 16 of the MLB teams are on their brand. And basically their Root Sports, where they have the local broadcast. So MLB already has a backup plan if that goes through. So it's a mess right now. Regionally right now for Major League Baseball, it's a mess. Hopefully, though, with all of this crap happening, baseball can finally go, you know what? This blackout thing we do to you guys, it's a mess. We apologize. Everything is now available. Nothing is blacked out. And then you can get the Mariners on your MLB TV. It's the one cool thing about living in Idaho or living in Lewiston, Idaho, is the only team that gets blacked out is the Mariners. However, it's still hilarious to me that when I go work at Lancers, which is in Clarkston, Washington, the Colorado Rockies get blacked out. I go farther away from Colorado and it becomes blacked out because I don't know how it works. But just be glad you're not living in like Kansas or Iowa or Western Pennsylvania, where like 7 or 8 teams get blacked out every time. It
Can you
just becomes
imagine
a
the
mess.
St. Louis Cardinals getting blacked out in that area?
Well, no, it's not
Or
just one
even-
team.
well,
It's
yeah,
just
or
you're missing Kansas City, Cincinnati, St. Louis, both Chicago teams, Detroit, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. It's like there's just a ton right in that area that would all get blacked out if you're sitting right there. I've heard of horror stories.
it's getting frustrating.
But when you do get to watch games, they're going to go faster with the pitch clock. I know a lot of people are complaining about it. I will say, from everything I've heard, the giant clock that we see in these spring training games that is just obnoxious and ridiculous on the side of the backstop will not be there for regular season games. Now, they will have it off to the side so the pitcher can still see it, but it's not going to be this, hey, look at me situation.
Right in front of
It's just there for spring training because they're trying to get everybody in line with the new rules and forcing things. Yes, they had that bad situation where game was tied, bases were hit, and the guy strikes out because he wasn't set in time. And so the game ended in a tie.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people say just make it a first 8 innings thing. I'm cool with that. Because it's like, well, with the Super Bowl, you're like, well, if it's a holding call in the first quarter, it should be a defensive holding call at the end of the game. And that was the big argument for the defensive holding that basically ended that Super Bowl. However, while I agree with that, clock stoppages are much different in the first 13 minutes than the last 2 minutes, right? It'd be the same for baseball. So I am fine with that small adjustment from the spring training. Have the pitch clock for the first eight innings and either expand it or just get rid of it for the 9th inning on for key situations or whatever.
That's kind of the same. I would say that was kind of the same as what you said. And I texted you, quit taking timeouts when you were calling the game in Grangeville. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it was the same thing. But I really like it because it's just kind of sped up the game a little bit. You know, yes, do I think the guys need to be able to, the pitchers need to be able to keep a good rhythm without getting too wore out being quick. You know, that was a big conversation after the whole thing with Max Scherzer, what Max Scherzer did on Sunday, striking out a guy in 27 seconds.
Right.
You know, keeping up that pace is not good on a pitcher because, you know, you're constantly go, go, go. Can you imagine if Max Scherzer was out there, struck out the side, and you're back in the dugout within 2 minutes? I mean, that's easy to think about, but
bring it.
Yeah, but I like the thing of staying good pace, and you know you've got this much time, nothing but crazy. And you and I are both numbers guys, and I listened to this last night with Scott Van Pelt. So this is the numbers as of last night out of the 49 games.
Yep,
with Scott Van Pelt, and they were talking about through the spring training games are averaging 2 hours and 39 minutes. 20 minutes faster than last year's spring training, 25 minutes faster than the average game last year.
Yeah.
There was a game today, 2 hours and 1 minute. It was nice. I was like,
and here's the thing. And obviously, I mean, we're dragging as far as our schedule goes. And that's totally fine. I want to get into this conversation with you. I've seen so much backlash online for this fish talk, especially from fans, which is just weird to me. Because they want this to be longer. And I do kind of get it in person, though you're not going to have time in between pitches to go to the concession stand. So the argument for the concession stand thing made no sense to me. But they're like, oh, it's going to mess up the pace of play, and it's going to make it worse for players, and they're going to start rushing and stuff. And they're fixing a problem that the players created. Because all I keep hearing about is, let's go back to the 80s. They didn't need a pitch clock. They just had shorter time between innings. No, players weren't taking a pitch, walking 10 feet away from the plate, coming back, fixing their gloves for 37 seconds, digging back into the dish, looking at each other, and then stepping out and then doing that all over again. That's not what they were doing every pitch in the 80s. They were staying in the box for the most part. They were ready to go. The pace of play was exactly what we're trying to get to now. It just continued to get worse over time as this whole, and that was the other thing I kept hearing. Oh, but baseball is a chess game, right?
Yeah, it's all about
And you and I
analytics.
are huge baseball fans. But no, it's a chess game. So it's the mind games that you do in chess to make your opponent do wrong things. Yes, there's a lot of chess and manipulation that you can do on a baseball field, but you can do it in a time limit. You know how I know this? Go watch huge tournaments in chess, competitive play in chess. Guess what they have? They have a clock. The clock has nothing to do with it. So I will say, Robert Taylor, bring back the shift. I was very much opposed to them getting rid of the shift, but it was kind of a nice feeling seeing a highlight of a left-handed hitter crush a ball to right field and get a base hit.
I love it. I love it. My big thing with this whole shot clock thing, and you made a great point. For me, it's about the analytics. So the game has gotten to the point of every one of the players has got a card in their back pocket of what it's going to be. That just means you got to move a little bit quicker. And the bigger part is it's going to put pressure in the 5th, 6th, 7th innings when, especially, them having to move a pinch hitter in. You've got to be quick. You got to know if that's putting another coach in the dugout that knows the setups of who's going to be where.
Nice. That's a good one.
But who's going to be where? I mean, if you need to make that play, that manager better be ready to pull the trigger. Dusty Baker better be ready to put a guy in there right now. Same with any of them. Aaron Judd or Aaron Boone needs to know right away. He's got a matchup. He's got to make the adjustment. You've got to go now. Here we go.
So it'll be interesting things, and mound visits will become more of a thing. Obviously, you still have your set number, but that probably is what those will get saved for. Oh, here comes a pinch hitter. Go out and talk to him real quick and make sure we're on the same page. Real quick with the shift stuff, I need to go back and look because it's at the beginning of the pitch that you have to be in those situations.
Yeah. So as soon as the pitch leaves the hand, you can have, as long as you're on the side of the base and in.
So I heard an idea. I want to say it was like, who knows where I heard it from. But anyway, this is not my idea. So whoever said it first, they have full credit for it.
You're not going to be copyrighted.
Nobody's going to listen anyway. So I'm just saying, it was an interesting take. And I don't know the exact rules for the shift. I don't know if it would work. But how long until we get to that point where the moment the pitcher is letting go of the ball, the center fielder is running in to right center. The left fielder is running towards center field, and the third baseman is going back towards left just in case. So then you're shifting as it goes with the outfielders. Because the whole point with the shift is they're not going to hit at the left side of the infield anyway. So it's more of a ready, set, and you just go for it. So the teams are going to figure out ways around the shift rules, and it's neither here nor there. But it'll be interesting.
I'm going to go back to something that my baseball coach told me many years ago. And people get upset and probably dislike my comment, but if you were a good enough hitter, you would learn to hit to all fields.
But
even professionals, if you were a good enough hitter,
your coach
gotta adjust.
Your coach wasn't getting 98 in the hands.
No. But we had two pitchers I remember in high school that threw 90 miles an hour. So you saw them, but it's the idea you should be able to at least put the ball in play. But this is coming from a guy that loves. I'd rather watch small ball and defense than watch Aaron Judge. Nothing against Aaron Judge hitting monster after monster.
But at least Aaron Judge was batting 300. Exactly. It's Joey Gallo, where he's hitting 20 home runs, striking out 280 times. No, he's with Minnesota, I think.
I think he did get picked up.
And then Chapman is with Kansas City, I think. I forget. But we'll get into that when we get into the preview starting next week. Again, I won't be here next week, but Robert Hagan and somebody will be here.
Robert Taylor.
Yeah, Robert Taylor will get ready for the AL and NL Central divisions, and we'll come up with a little format to preview those next week, and then we'll do the East, and then we'll do the West, and then we'll do our awards and playoff predictions, and then the season will be here.
So
That's how I try to break it down. I do not discuss baseball. You get ready.
So a couple of big things coming out today, and I think the worst one, big injury to Gavin Lux from LA. If you watch the video, and I watched it a couple of times with one of the kids there at school today, as I was doing stuff this morning, watching his knee buckle, his foot buckle. The Dodgers announced today that Lux will miss the entire 2023 season with a torn ACL. Also, Tyler Glasnow left after he's out with an oblique injury, 6 to 8 weeks. But the funniest one, listen. I've read so many injuries over and we know it. People are getting back in the routine. Yes, they're going a little sore. But how do you drop a kettlebell?
Well,
when you're a pitcher,
you're holding on to it, right? And you've been working out, and your hands are sweaty. Knees weak, mom spaghetti. All right, you have to. When you say that, you just have to continue the line.
These kettlebells are like
slip.
Yeah, but these kettlebells are heavy.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many people in a bowling season do you see drop it behind them? Not from alcohol, not from inexperience, just it slips.
From sweaty palms.
Yes, it just slipped out of their hand. That's what happened here. Unfortunately, he did not get his toe out of the way.
Joe Musgrove, starting pitcher for San Diego, broke his left big toe, dropping a kettlebell. There's no timetable for his recovery, but come on. I mean, you would think getting into that.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
The bad news, sir, you are not going to be pitching for a few weeks.
No. That's
a month.
That's the fun thing with sports sometimes. And luckily, it's not a super serious injury, but there has been some funny injuries over time, especially baseball, where things just kind of happen. It's great.
I just don't understand.
The World Baseball Classic starts a week from today. There's just one game next week. Cuba versus Netherlands, 8 p.m. on FS1. Then it really gets going on Wednesday. The U.S. plays their first game against Great Britain Saturday, March 11th.
Great Britain.
Britain. Listen, can't talk. I can't hear. I can't think. Nothing is going correct. Period. 8 teams out of so here are your 8 most likely winners out of the 20-team field. Cuba is 8th at 40-1. And then it goes quickly down to Puerto Rico, 21-1 at 7. 6th most likely is Mexico at 18-1. And Korea and Venezuela are tied for 4th at 10-1. But, and where I'm going to guess both of our predictions are going to come from are the top 3. Number 3 is Japan at 3-1. The United States is 2nd at 2.8-1. And the Dominican Republic is your favorite at 2-1. Who is winning this thing?
So I think with Suzuki's injury, I think that number might change now for Japan. I don't think 3-1 is probably going to be the number there. Listen, I'm very shocked that the U.S. is at 2.8-1.
Why? We got the best players. The second best players.
I would say the Dominican has always just proven that they are a dominating team, and I think it's going to be the Dominican Republic with that one running away with it almost.
You're going to take the Dominican Republic.
I am going to take the Dominican over the United States.
The United States won it the last time.
Right.
Actually, can you name the 4 winners? I had to look them up.
Ooh.
4 winners so far. We've had 4 World Baseball Classics.
Japan was one.
Yep.
And they won the first one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The United States won it last time.
Yep.
I want to say either Dominican or
Dominican won it in 2013. And who won it in 2009?
I want to say Puerto Rico.
No, it was Japan. Japan won the first 2. And then Dominican Republic, and then United States. It was United States beating Puerto Rico in 2017. Obviously, we did not have one in 2021 with all the COVID stuff.
I had the runner-up. Thank you.
All right, you said Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico was the runner.
Oh.
Dominican Republic wasn't even in the top 4. Netherlands has finished 4th the last 2 times. Japan has finished in the top 3 all 4 times. I know Suzuki is injured, changes things. Give me Japan.
All right.
Japan gets back out on top.
We're non-believers for the U.S.
I just don't want my U.S. players from the Yankees to
I
get
don't
hurt.
want them. Yeah,
Period.
But that just means that we're going to catch druff from it.
All right. Luckily, we don't have enough time, but it is the eve of March Madness.
Yep.
Because it's March tomorrow, not because the tournaments start tomorrow. I need to get into this college basketball stuff. I've not been watching a ton other than LC, and they're not in the NCAA, so it doesn't matter. Gonzaga right now is in the top 10, being 10th in the men, and they're 15th in the women. Conference tournaments are getting going. Brackets are getting ready to come out in a couple of weeks. We will do something fun on the show, so keep an eye out on it. Maybe we'll do some kind of a contest.
I want to say next week, don't they? The end
it's-
end of next
I
week.
think it's 2 weeks.
I think the end of next week. I think we're going to come up.
I don't know.
That'd be pretty close.
Who's going to be the top seed overall?
For the men, I think you got to lean. For me, I keep reading Alabama. I think that might be
2
a
weeks.
good. Yeah. So I think
A
that
week
might
from
be
Sunday
from Sunday.
is when the brackets come out.
I think Alabama is the number 1 overall for the
Yeah.
men's side. It's no question.
It's South Carolina.
Yeah, for the women, it's no question. It's South Carolina. Even though the way Indiana has played, I think it's South Carolina.
South Carolina, without a doubt. I'll take Houston. They're 1 right now, and I don't think it'll change too much with their conference tournament. It is a final, as the Warriors do drop to Eastern Oregon, 75-59. So they will go into the NAIA national tournament off a loss. But they will host on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll talk about that more here shortly. Not the best way to end the year, but it's a tough team over there in Eastern Oregon. And hopefully they'll play again later.
You look at it, Maddie Holm, 13 points. She led the Warriors.
Yeah, just
and
wasn't
Hannah
there
Broyles
offensively.
with 12.
Yep, that's not much there offensively. All right. So now that we've chased everybody off, now it's time for the sports-related draft. So please, everybody, come back and vote, even though you're not listening to me right now. It is time for the sports-related draft.
Yep.
I crushed you last week like a grape.
No.
This week, in honor of something that I nearly was able to call on Saturday, which we will talk about here shortly, our sports-related draft this week, sir, is the greatest buzzer beaters of all time. I picked the topic.
You don't have a buzzer on there?
You get the first pick. Oh, I do have a buzzer. Hold on, you're right. It's not that cool NBA buzzer or something, but it's a you got it wrong buzzer, which I'm going to hit on yours a couple times. But I made a topic. You get the first pick.
I'm sorry. And so for me, it's
it does not. Mahomes 13 seconds does not. Because technically it was the field goal. Yeah. It wasn't even a buzzer beater. I guess it pushed it to overtime. It was a buzzer beater.
Wrong sport.
Anyways.
Wrong sport.
Anyways. You get first pick.
For me, it's kind of that no-brainer one from my growing up and watching. And it has to be watching Michael Jordan go over Craig Elo. I mean, it has to be the shot. Michael Jordan, 1989 Eastern Conference.
It's an iconic,
very iconic.
Visual.
See him kind of hold himself up, and I mean that was the first point of everybody kind of hanging in the air, and everybody saw it, and that was that iconic moment. You could see him hang and then shoot as Elo goes right across his face and pulls up with the shot. I mean,
so quickly, I'm going to have a fun story that helps your pick, and then one retort.
Okay.
In high school, I actually got to meet Craig Elo.
Right.
He came
He's
to our
Spokane or Pullman.
I forget where he came, but he came to our school. I honestly have zero idea or remember what he came to promote or talk about or anything of that matter. But I just remember him introducing himself as, if you guys all seen that shot with Michael Jordan where he hangs in the air for 10 minutes, you know that white guy that runs by? Hi, I'm that white guy.
Hi.
That's basically how
I'm
he
Craig
introduced
Elo.
himself. It was great. That shot is iconic. However, Michael Jordan did the exact same shot the next year.
He did.
Against the same team. The exact same shot. In the same situation against the same team.
Wasn't he was sick that year in 1990, wasn't he? That was the flu game.
It
Wasn't that the
wasn't
flu game?
No, the flu game happened against the Jazz in like
Oh, that's
1995
right.
or 96 or something.
I had to remember.
But no. So it is a great buzzer beater, and it does belong to be in the 6 that we have chosen.
Number one.
However, you did not correctly pick the best shot or the shot.
I was hoping this one was going to slide, and you were going to take
This
the
is
one
why-
from Sunday.
No, absolutely. We'll talk about that in a second. But no, I messaged you when we were doing our picks for this draft that I had to bump this up because I knew I had to take it. And I still don't think it's the best college basketball buzzer beater, but it may be the most iconic. Christian Laettner, obviously in 1992. I don't know why it's called the shot. It should be more called the pass. It is. It's, if you look it up, it's the college version of the shot.
I would think it's more the pass.
It should be called the pass because the pass, 3/4 pass to Christian Laettner at the free throw line, able to get a dribble off, make a good shot, get it down. Such an iconic moment. Christian Laettner ended up on the 1992 Dream Team because of said shot. So, I mean, that gives it to you right there, even though Laettner really, I still think he is the only player on that Dream Team that's not in the Hall of Fame, right? I think everyone else now has made the Hall of Fame except for him, and he was only there because they wanted a college representative. It was between Laettner and Shaquille O'Neal, and they took Laettner. That didn't work out legacy-wise, that's for sure. But it was a fantastic shot, iconic moment, and Duke went on to win the national tournament. All right, your second pick.
All right, so I know you're not old enough for this.
I've seen this a lot, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh wait, you did. You're in the last. Happy birthday again. Let's bring it.
God.
Let's bring that up again.
No,
You're almost
that's
40, so I mean it's
it's
there.
my non-birthday today. Happy non-birthday to you.
363 days, 64 days to go. Anyway, for me, this was one of the shots I remember huge, and it was 1983.
Yep.
And it was
Junior in college? Junior in
no,
where you at?
I was like a 4th grader, 3rd grader. Can you beat a 3rd grader? Are you smarter than a 3rd grader? No.
I've proven that a lot tonight.
But it was actually a terrible shot. And it was a terrible shot by.
That's an assist.
It was a terrible shot by Derek Wittenberg.
Yep.
From 30 plus feet out.
Yeah.
And he totally airballs it up to Lorenzo Charles, and he throws down a dunk with 1 second left on the clock. And it was when in 1983, the championship game where North Carolina State beats Houston,
which was big,
which was Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler was on that team, all them, and you watch them just go totally ape on a dunk that was just should have been an air ball, and Lorenzo Charles just right there, perfect spot, throw it down.
However,
they win by 2.
You did say something incorrect.
What?
How much time was left when he?
It was like 1.2 or 1.1, right at 1 second.
Okay, what is our topic?
Buzzer beater, right at 1 second. It went off.
No buzzer went off.
As the ball still has to hit the floor before the clock stops. It was through the hoop.
Nope.
Yes.
No buzzer. No buzzer. 1 second left when that ball went through. And that's not true. It doesn't have to hit the floor.
Before when it turns the clock off.
Nope. How many times have they gone back and watched it and it goes through the hoop and they go, all right, we have 0.3 left.
Well, too many.
That's whatever. So,
but also with that being
not
said,
a buzzer beater.
Also with that being said, though, that was the biggest game of Jimmy Valvano's career coaching.
I mean, you see every time we
that puts it over.
Jimmy V with his whole speech and stuff, they always show that thing. No, they don't.
I win.
He had nothing to do with that shot.
I hate to tell Robert Taylor though. Kobe's shot doesn't make our list.
No. Sorry. I'm not afraid to say it. Kobe who? No, I probably just lost, but that's okay. All right, my second pick. I stick with college basketball. Actually, all 3 of mine are college basketball. I like buzzer beaters in college basketball. What can I say? 2006 national championship game. Just won the championship. Villanova and North Carolina had a pretty good national championship game that year, but the ending was absolutely insane. North Carolina hits this off-balance, ridiculous shot that had no chance of going in, but does. Villanova gets the basketball. They do this beautiful play where the player goes down. I'm going to say he's already said.
I have no.
It goes down to the 3-point line, turned around, gives it to Jenkins, right? Yeah, Chris Jenkins, as not a big 3-point shooter, but has some space, throws it up, hits a 3-pointer at the buzzer to win the national championship game. Confetti goes absolutely everywhere. While it was cool to see Jimmy V run around and be all excited, this was a better shot than a air ball turned into a dunk.
Yeah, but who hit that shot for Villanova?
Chris Jenkins.
That was the only person on there that I didn't even know even who was on that team in 2016.
Well, that is a bad sports job by you. That is not.
Well,
He made the better shot than a missed air ball shot that was collected for a dunk.
I already got you beat.
No, you don't.
Jimmy V's best game. All done.
Good for him. This is not the best Jimmy V games. All right, give me your third one.
All right, my last
and this
one.
is ludicrous. By the way.
Why?
Ludicrous. Go ahead.
I think this was why you. Is this why you?
No.
So I wanted to know how you came up with the
I
topic.
brought it up because I almost called a buzzer beater in the Lewiston game.
Gotcha. That was a pretty good shot too. You cut it and sent it to me, but I'm going to take the shot from this weekend. Well, there was a couple of buzzer beater shots this weekend that fell, but I'm going to take the women's game. I'm taking Caitlin
That's
Clark of
fine.
Iowa. She hits the big 3-pointer to beat Indiana, who now has one loss on the season, and they were down. They were down 85-83, and Caitlin Clark comes around
on the season.
Is it 2 now? Yeah. So comes around off of a pick.
Yes, it's a great shot.
Move, and she puts it right off.
A fantastic
there we go.
shot. Is it the greatest buzzer beater of all
time? It is
time?
one of the. It's
no.
What did
they
win?
One. They won a game.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. It's a possibly top 3 buzzer beater this year. Because
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, of this year, not of all time. It was a great shot, and it was a great pass and a great outlet, and she had a great look at it. But it wasn't even that crazy. Just you picking that over some of the other stuff. The Derek Fisher shot, to me, or not, I'm not thinking Derek Fisher. I'm thinking Robert Ory was the shot I was thinking about. I believe that was also against the Spurs, where he hit it. I only remember that one because the crowd shot that they have of them all standing up at the same point is insane. But there's so many you could have picked from.
Oh, I have another one. I'm going to.
But that's great because it doesn't count.
Oh, I know, but
Caitlin Clark should have been your honorable mention because it's a cool thing. It was against the Kings. You're right. All right. I'm going to go a couple years ago. An old Gonzaga Bulldog team had an undefeated season going, got to the national semifinal game against UCLA.
Did they win the tournament?
No, because they were exhausted from this game.
Okay.
One of the greatest games I've ever watched.
So mine is relevant because everything else has been a playoff game. Yes, that was a Final Four game, but did they win?
It's in the playoff game.
But did they win?
Is Iowa even going to make the tournament? I don't even know what Iowa's record is.
They're number 6. They're number 6.
So they'll be the 2 seed. So you better put Iowa down on your women's record to win the whole thing.
I do have them going a while. I will have them going a while.
Anyways, Jalen Suggs, it's a half-court shot to beat UCLA in overtime in one of the best college basketball games I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
That game was back and forth the whole way. Jumps up on the table. It was during COVID time, so all the crowd was all sparsed out and crazy. The call was absolutely fantastic. I think it was Jim Nance on the call. And who's the guy that does the onions call? I always forget his name. But a great color commentator that yells onions every time somebody hits a deep shot or the kiss off the glass and all that stuff. He has some good catchphrases, but he was there too. Fantastic job from the Gonzaga Bulldogs to go to the national championship game and then lose to North Carolina. But it was because they were exhausted from this game. Right. Still better than Caitlin Clark.
The other one that I really want to do, and it was just because his son plays here. I was going to take John Stockton.
I did see the John Stockton.
I think John That was a heck of a shot by him. And
All right.
that team was awesome
Yeah.
too. So.
All right, Robert Taylor, it's up to you, sir. Robert picked the shot by Michael Jordan in 1989. He took the old Lorenzo Charles dunk in the 1983 NCAA championship game, and Caitlin Clark from the You put the Iowa Buckeyes in our notes. You lose just for that.
No,
From Iowa, when they beat the Indiana Hoosiers just this last weekend. For me, I took the college basketball version of the shot, Christian Laettner, in the 1992 East Regional Finals over Kentucky. I took the big game winner by Chris Jenkins for Villanova to beat North Carolina in the 2016 National Championship game. And then Jalen Suggs with a half-court shot off the glass to beat UCLA in overtime in the Final Four game to, at that time, keep their undefeated season alive until they – no, it was Baylor they played the next night. They're in the finals, and then Baylor just crushed them. Gonzaga, sadly, has played too many national championship games where they've ended up losing that I mix them all together. So while we wait for Robert's decision on this sport-related draft, let's get into some local stuff. Let's have some fun with it. Washington State Basketball Championships. I win.
Really?
Congratulations to me.
Because
because
I'm better than you, and you know it.
listen, I know why he took him. I know why he took him. He does not have Jordan ahead of Kobe.
Oh, absolutely not. But
that's the problem.
He also did not pick you because
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I am that guy. Listen, come on. You can't even say he's probably got LeBron ahead of Michael Jordan.
Listen, that's a summer topic, not a now topic. Not a topic that when we're 20 minutes behind. All right, let's not get into that argument. Tell me about Washington State basketball.
Lots going on. Some early action. We'll talk and lead things out with the local team, Pullman, who is number 1 in the 2A.
Yep.
They opened round against R.A. Long. They won 67-55, but they were trailing double digits in this ball game. A little scary for that one, but they do come away with a win. They will play at the state tournament, and they will play the winner on Friday. They have a Thursday.
I have it on the note.
They have an off day on Wednesday because of their seeding.
Yep.
I forget how it's the top 8 has the play in against it. So they will take on the winner of Anacortes or Enumclaw, which will happen there. That game will be a 10:30 game over at the Sun Dome in Yakima. It's not the Sky Dome, it's the Sun Dome. Yeah. Also, in other action, Pomeroy, who came out playing quite well against the number 18 Muckleshoot Tribal, came away with a big win, 69-62, and had a big first quarter, outscoring Muckleshoot 14-4. And then they ended up playing Mount Vernon Christian and ended up losing that one. Just could not find any offense in that game. Lost that 65-40. Also, in girls action in the 2B, Colfax opening round, they beat Mabton, and not even just a little bit. They crushed them by 40. We ended up winning that one 77-37. They will play up on Thursday. They will take on the winner of number 7 Rainier or number 15 Upper Columbia. That one's up at the Spokane Arena. I had an opportunity to call a couple games up at the arena a couple years ago. Awesome. So looking forward to that.
I figured out your topic with Robert Taylor on Tuesday.
Jordan
and LeBron. Here we go. It's going to be great.
And the girls.
No one's ever had that debate before. I guess Jordan
1B.
Versus Kobe. Most of it.
Yeah. Girls 1B, Colton came out with a big win, 61-58. It was a much needed win against a tough team from Moses Lake. So they also will open play, and they get on the Wednesday off also because of the higher seeds now. So
because they had won there.
Yep. The top 8
opening round.
I like what they have done now. If you're ranked in the top 8 and win the opening you get the bye on
Yep.
Wednesday, so it's good.
Well, it's like the AFL thing. If you're in the top 8, you play the top 8 all play each
you
other.
play each other, but
And then the winner gets a bye week. The loser then has to play the winner of whoever won in
Right.
the bottom 8. So it's kind
and
of
I like
AFL
that.
league. Actually, speaking of tournaments that I like, have you seen the West Coast Conference tournament?
No, I have not seen it yet. I haven't looked at the
bracket is hilarious. It's just 2 gauntlets.
Oh, gee.
So BYU and Gonzaga are guaranteed to be in the semis. And then the 3 seed and the 4 seed are guaranteed to be in the quarterfinals.
Right.
So whoever were the worst seeds have to like beat 5 teams if they want to win the tournament, while everyone else is just kind of waiting their turn. It's kind of an interesting little take on it. I like it. It makes the regular season matter.
Right. And the last one, so they will take on Itchilium or Willapa Valley on Thursday, 12:15 with that game. So those are those local teams on the Washington side. How about the Idaho side?
So
you had a heck of a game on Saturday.
Idaho girls are done. We talked about that last week.
Right.
So now it's boys' turn. State is on Thursday, but to get there, you had to get through some of your regional stuff and state playing games. And shout out to Brooks' mom and all of the players for the Lewiston Bengals. You know, they go out and they lose in double overtime to Coeur d'Alene the week before, which kind of put them behind the 8 ball to try to make it the state. They had to win 3 straight games in 5 days. And all 3 games were extremely close all the way through. So I had to just be taxing on these guys. They're able to get the win on Tuesday against Post Falls 44-42. They were up 13 going into the 4th. Post Falls came screaming back on a 10-0 run, but Lewiston, which is something they have not done most of the year, was able to finally hit the break and hold on and get the win. They had blown that lead several times throughout the year. Then they finally get that revenge on Coeur d'Alene. They had lost the first 3 meetings this year against that team. This game was absolutely back and forth. So much fun in Coeur d'Alene. That place was rocking up there, and they did the whole banner ceremony with the Coeur d'Alene girls team who ended up winning state. So congratulations to them. But Carson Way hit a 4-point play. It's the first 4-point play I've ever called that won a game. There was about 50 seconds to go or whatever,
I got to listen to
but they were able to
4 minutes.
hold on to that lead, and it was just a really, really cool moment and awesome to see. I don't know how many times I've said on this show that Lewiston was just looking for that player to say, give me the ball, I'm going to make it happen. Carson Way this week was that kid, and it was really awesome to see. And I will have to, again, a shout out to Brooks' mom. He came up because at Coeur d'Alene, I'm up on the second deck to call the game. And Brooks is one of those, you could just tell he's an anxious person, so he likes to just kind of walk halls and stuff before games. So he came up to the second deck just to get away from stuff. So we ended up having a little conversation before the game, and he took the time after the game to come up and, you know, give me a fist bump afterwards, because we were talking about how the last time we were in Coeur d'Alene and we saw each other, the look on his face was not great because it was a tough game to lose. He's like, well, hopefully when I see you after the night, we'll have smiles on our faces. So he came up to make sure I saw that he had a smile on his face. And I told him, you make sure you give Carson a big hug. He said, I already did.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool moment. Fantastic game for Lewis, and they played so good. Then they go to Grangeville to play Meridian in the state play-in game. Meridian, state champions 2 years ago, were able to beat Coeur d'Alene last year in the state play-in game. Lewiston again jumps out to a nice lead, up 10 in the first quarter. Meridian erases that at the beginning of the second. And then from there on out, Lewiston never trailed by more than 3 points that entire game. Meridian, after they cut the lead inside 4, never trailed by more than 4 the rest of the game. Neither team had a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter. So it was tight all the way through. Give full credit to Ryan Baker. 4 fouls early and on in the third quarter. Comes into the fourth, makes some huge shots, including the eventual game winner with 1.1 to go. I still feel like he was behind the line. It should have been a 3, so Meridian should have won by 2. Didn't end up mattering, but 1.1 is left on this clock, and I posted it on my Twitter, and I sent it to a bunch of different people. It's just how crazy of a shot Lewiston was able to get off. They do a beautiful play where they have Carson Way ready to inbound. They have Drew Hottinger come into the baseline to toss it off to him. And then Drew Hottinger, starting quarterback for the Lewiston Bengals, throws a Hail Mary to the far corner, and Jordan Bramlett kind of got behind the defense, made a great clean catch, turned around, had a turnaround jumper, defender in his face, but he got a clean shot off, hit it off the rim, and it was just inches away from just having the most ridiculous ending to a game that I had ever seen. Heartbreaking loss for Lewiston, and they will finish their season 16-8.
Yeah.
That place was so cool.
Hearing that call, though, yeah, I mean, I was texting you during the thing,
Yeah.
listening to the last 4 minutes of the game.
And the 87 timeouts.
87 times, yeah. And you were sending us break, and I'm like, there's too much. You could feel it because of how the crowd was, and you got to watch this game. And I've told you about
the
crow's nest. You're up over the players, over the clock, and you're kind of leaning out over on the court as you're calling this game.
It's a cool little place to call a game at. However, when you're 6'1", if I was not right up near the fence, I was having to bend and kind of crouch a little bit. But the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. Meridian traveled pretty well, and I'll give Meridian credit. As far as sportsmanship goes, before the game, they had a 2A game with Kellogg and who did? Kellogg ended up winning, but I can't remember who they were playing against, so I apologize there. And more people that were in the crowd were rooting for that team. And Meridian, who was there early and watching the game, decided, you know what? Kellogg's our team. And fully just went all on board with Kellogg. They were all, positive thoughts. They weren't getting on the other team or anything. Now, during the game, emotions get going. And if you watch the video I sent, there's a couple players that do the turnaround to the Lewiston crowd and wave them goodbye. And I was like, in that moment, I'm not going to blame a kid for doing that kind of stuff. But I will say, once again, with Rick Smallham, who I've just been nothing but impressed with, which is not something I thought I was going to be when the season started, when you see his demeanor on the bench and how over-the-top animated he can get. But he did, the moment that shot missed, he made sure his players got off the floor, and the moment he saw that Jordan Bramlett was still laying on the other side of the floor, went running over there to make sure his player was okay and was there to support him. So it was just an awesome moment for the coach, and it was a very emotional moment for those players, especially for the 6 or 7 seniors they have on that team. And that game was one of my favorite games I've ever called, even though the result was not the way I wanted.
And you and I have had a few calls, football calls.
Yeah, we've had some really close
West
games.
Valley game, overtime, Caden Frazier. I mean, we've had some.
Yeah, we've had some really good ones, but that one absolutely fantastic. Give it up to both teams as they left everything out there on the floor. And I will be checking in on Meridian and see how they do at state. That 5A state tournament is stacked. I'm also disappointed that if Lewiston wins this game, I'm headed to Boise tomorrow to get ready to call the Lewiston games, and that allows me to watch all this other fantastic action that's going on down there. Unfortunately, Orfino will not be a part of it. They got eliminated by Priest River 54-44 in the 2A level. Lapway, surprise, surprise, ended up defeating Kamei for the championship of the White Pine League 84-57. Then Kamei got upset by Potlatch 49-46. So Kamei, who was the number 2 team in the White Pine League all season long, is not going to state. Potlatch gets that second berth, so congratulations to the Loggers. And in Class 1A-2, Kendrick defeated St. John Bosco 69-55 in the semifinals. Timberline got the win over Deary 49-47, and then Kendrick was able to get the win for the district championship 64-35, and Timberline got the second spot, beating St. John Bosco 64-54. So the local teams for us on Thursday, and obviously we'll see where they play after, but on Thursday in Class 1A, Potlatch will be the 6th seed, and they will take on Lakeside on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And then Lapway, the number 1 team by far, will play Liberty Charter on Thursday at 6 p.m. They're playing at Valley View High School in Caldwell right now. If they make it to the championship game, then they get that cool moment in the Ford Idaho Center down there in Napa, Idaho. And in Class 1A-2, which is at Caldwell High School, Timberline will be the 7th seed. They'll take on Rockland at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And then number 3 seed Kendrick will take on Cascade at 1 p.m. at the same place. So those two teams could meet up in the second round if they both win or they both lose. Same thing. If they both win, they will be playing at the Ford, Idaho Center.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch some of this and listen to, because Idaho Sports does stream the sounds that you'll be able to listen to.
You can listen to it.
Get a chance. You need to want to listen to these games. You have
I'll be keeping an eye on it. I'm glad I'm not there.
Yeah, exactly. We all do that. Hey, I'm excited about this. And I don't know if you've got this, but next Friday I'll be out in Lapway as the 2023 Senior Showcase will happen out at Lapway High School. March 10th, 6 p.m. Idaho District 2 players and coaches will be announced hopefully by Friday, so I'll know who will be out there. They do a big 3-point dunk contest. They'll have a raffle. The referee association gives away some scholarships for these players. So come out. I'll be doing PA, so I get to pick on all of our officials that we love to pick on. So from the gunslinger, he'll be out there. The Kamiak kid, he's going to be officiating. Jamie Nudie, those guys. Shannon Wilson, I think, is going to be out there too. So it is a great event. If you're looking for something to do next Friday out there, so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really good. Real quick before we move on to the other stuff, I know we're way behind and we're going to speed through these last 20 minutes. I got into some arguments on Twitter last night.
Not you.
No, as somebody had brought up the fact that if Lake City wins the state tournament, which would make them undefeated, and they are solid, that would they be considered the greatest single season team in Idaho basketball history?
No.
And I went, have you heard of Lapway? And they went, they would crush it. And I went, then let's get to a tournament of champions and let's have some fun.
Yep.
Because I have said on here that I think Lake City is the only team in Idaho that would have a chance with Lapway. And they did bring up some stuff where Lake City went out and beat the best team in Washington by double digits. And Lapway beat the top 25 team in Oregon, but had to do it in really close fashion. And my thing was, that's what Lapway does. It's like, yes, they go out and destroy teams that are less than them, but when you put them up against a higher class competition, they're going to fight and claw, and they're never going to be out of that contest. I want to see it happen, and that's all I was trying to argue. And I had 3 or 4 different people get on me. It's like, oh, they would not stand a chance. You don't know that until they get on the floor, and we really want to see that happen. And my chance once again to say,
let's go to Moscow or something like that.
It's the same stuff Don Walden, the editor at the Lewis and Tribune, and I have talked about for 2 years. We're going to have 6 state champions. Right? Let those 6 come back the next week and have a little 6-team tournament. The 5A and the 4A can have a bye in the first round. Those are the bigger schools. Have a little tournament, and then we have a legit single state champion. Give the little schools a chance to try to go up against the big schools.
I'd be on board.
I think all the players would be too.
Oh yeah.
You could sponsor the holy crap out of that.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so the wrestling also had their state tournament.
Yeah, Idaho State girls. We'll talk about the girls really quick. In the 100-pound weight class, Jolie Slider, she ended up coming home with her first state title. Athlete of the week, Skyla Zimmerman from Moscow. She has now become a 2-time state champion in the 120-pound weight class. A couple other finishers for the girls divisions at the 114-pound weight class from Highland, Katie Beck, and from Potlatch in the 145, Haley McNeil come away with 5th places. In the boys 5A, no doubt, we knew he was going to be there, and that's in the 126-pound weight class. Wade Havas comes away with his 2nd consecutive championship for Lewiston. Robert Storm ends up finishing 5th at the 285-pound weight class. In the boys 4A, Diego Deaton from Moscow finishes 3rd, and James Green from Moscow finishes 5th in the 152-pound weight class. They had to wrestle each other. How bad is it that Deaton ends up beating Green to put him into the
Mhm.
consolation side, but he comes away there. And the boys 2A at the 98-pound weight class from Nez Perce, Caden Schaff ends up being second place. 132 from Clearwater Valley, Keegan Robeson finishes fifth. Kenny Bowler, also of Clearwater Valley, finishes fifth at 138-pound. And at 145, Anthony Pabby, Clearwater Valley, ends up sixth. I watched the brother of Anthony Pabby wrestle at Lincoln last week. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude is good. A couple other finishers. At 152 in the 2A, Avery Palmer from Potlatch finishes fifth. 160 from Potlatch finishes sixth. Eli Prather. 185, Bass Myers from Central Valley finishes third. From Orofino finishing second. And 195 is Sean Larson. And finishing third in the 220-pound weight class is Porter Whipple from Camden.
Yep. So congratulations to all of those wrestlers as they finish up their season. And after this weekend, we're on to spring sports.
Yes, we are.
It's just crazy how things quickly move on. Let's quickly go through sports. Wow. We got 18 minutes left.
Yeah,
we already talked about the women did lose to Eastern Oregon tonight, 75-59. So they ended up being the runner-up in the Cascade Conference tournament. We'll see if that affects their seeding or not. They will host one of the opening round games. There's 8 sides, 16. How does that work? 8 sides? 8 sides?
8.
Yeah. 6. My brain doesn't work. Guys, I think there's 16. I think there's 16 sides because there's 2 matchups each. Yeah. Actually, you know what? There is. If I would just let my brain continue on with the thought before arguing with itself, there's 16 sites because when you get through these first 2 rounds, what are we down to? The Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
Just come. Just
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're older now.
It's really hurting.
Happy birthday again.
No. You know what?
Oh, I said, are you ready?
I'm not ready for old age. Not at all. It's just the worst. It's absolutely bad. But anyways, LC is going to host some of the opening round games. There'll be 2 games on Tuesday. The winner of the 2 games will play on Wednesday. Tuesday, the first game's at 5:30. The second game's at 7:30. Wednesday's at 5:30. And then I will have the call on lcwarriors.com if you want to listen to me there. And I believe Danner is only going to do the LC games for KOZE if you want to listen to him on 950 AM KOZE, or you can switch back and forth. You have to pay to listen to me cough. And for the LC Warrior stuff, you have to pay for that stuff. But you got to pay for this horrible voice. That's what you got to go. But we'll see what the women can do. My guess is they will be a 2 or 3 seed going into this tournament. Them losing at Eastern Oregon might set them at a 3. I believe it's Thursday afternoon is when the brackets will get revealed, and then I can start getting my notes all together. On the men's side, you want the good news or the bad news first?
Let's do bad news that way.
Well, then let's.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
The men's season is over as they lost to Southern Oregon in the opening round of the Cascade tournament, 77-75. It was a great game. I was able to listen to some of it. Just rough way for them to go. This team is very, very young at its core. So I think in a year or 2, they're going to be absolutely fantastic. And that shows as Davian Brown, who is fantastic this year. I believe he's just a sophomore. He earned first team all conference. John Lustig was an honorable mention. Lustig was also named the Cascade Conference Freshman of the Year. The old Colfax player has been fantastic. And for the Warriors, the first time an LC player was named to that award since Davik Mitchell. He was okay here back in 2018. LCSC baseball swept College of Idaho in a 4-game set where they scored 873 runs.
Seemed that way.
None of them when I called the game on Monday. No, they scored 9 runs, I guess. And the 9th were on Monday in the game that I called, but most of that came late with a couple of home runs. Thomas and Signorelli with a couple home runs there in the 9th inning to pad that game. Dallas McGill was really good.
Only
striking out
46 runs.
46. It was great. But the offense is there. Pitching is coming around. Baseball is looking pretty good. Dominic Signorelli was the third different Warrior to earn the Cascade Conference Rise Laboratory Baseball Player of the Week honors on Monday. That's what the Warriors are doing right now. They are the best team, obviously, in the Cascade Conference. It happens every single year since they joined those conferences. No different. However, College of Idaho impressed me. For a team that was really, really struggling, they have really taken a good step forward. So it might be a 3-team race now between the LC, British Columbia, and College of Idaho at the end of the season. The Warriors will be in action this weekend against Eastern Oregon.
Eastern Oregon, yep.
Doubleheader on Saturday starting at noon. Doubleheader on Sunday at 11. I'm not there either.
I'm there for that one.
You were there for Saturday.
I'm there for Saturday.
I will not be there for either because I might show up Saturday to watch. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, so 4 games this weekend. Go check that out for sure. LCSC Track and Field, they have their national championships from Thursday to Saturday at Brookings, South Dakota. They'll have 11 individuals and 2 relay teams that will head to that event. Men's tennis back to 500 as they have won their last 3 matches. So they are back to 6-6. And the women had a pretty decent trip down to Louisiana. They go 3-2 on that road trip. Their 2 losses were against 2 top 15 teams. So no harm in losing those 2 contests. They do beat Our Lady of the Lake, that Texas A&M Texarkana team, and LSU Shreveport. I'll let you talk about Clearwater Combat. I will be right back.
Yeah, Clearwater Combat is just crazy busy. Tickets went on sale on Friday. It was a rough one there trying to get tickets. So if you have not purchased your tickets, make sure you do so. They are on sale. I know none of the $65 ones are available anymore. Still a few spots, general admission. Main event, got to go out to our buddy Brian McElroy. He'll be defending his lightweight in a lightweight match. And also in the co-main event, Johnny Burlington will take on Dave Pearson. In a featherweight matchup, it's going to be Joey Walker taking on Kenny Magruder. And then in a welterweight action amateur fight, you've got Jerry Ipikoven II taking on Melvin Joy. And I believe here just a little bit ago, Dimitri Morales' competitor got named. He will be taking on Tyler Hayden. Again, that is April 29th at 7 p.m. out of the Clearwater River Casino. If you haven't got your tickets, make sure you do so and get them soon. Your scoreboard right now in the second quarter on men's side, San Diego State leads 57-48 over Boise. A number 3 action, Kansas leads Texas Tech 51-49. Just under 8 minutes left to go in the second on that one. Finishing up, number 6 Marquette beats Butler 72-56. Iowa knocks off Indiana on the men's side 90-68. Virginia defeats Clemson 64-57, and Duke outlasts North Carolina State 71-67. NBA, yeah.
Teams played. How about this?
Okay.
6 games are final in the NBA.
Okay.
Have you looked at these yet?
I've got them up right now.
Close them.
All right.
6 games have been completed in the NBA. So that's 12 teams, right? 6
Right.
times 2 is 12. Yeah, math. Haha. 12 teams. How many of them scored under 100 points?
1.
Yeah.
Because I saw it.
Chicago
I
Bulls.
did see it before I looked.
Chicago Bulls scored 98 points. That's the lowest.
That was the
score
lowest one. That was the first thing I
so
looked
far.
at to see
Just
who had scored it. And
silliness.
I know you missed out just a second at Dimitri Morales. His opponent finally got mentioned. He's taking on Tyler Hayden.
Nice.
So his match was announced.
I am excited to go. Haley and I, as you have mentioned, got tickets. So I finally get to go to one of these events. We've been talking about it forever. So
I
it
hope
has to happen next week. Next week.
We got to figure
We've
something
got to
out.
get this going. I don't know what days you have available. I just don't have Tuesday, Wednesday at the moment.
Right.
We've got to get this done.
Yes.
Before they get into crazy crunch time. We said that
Okay.
last time life happened. This has to get done.
Yeah, it does. It's got to
Because I want to start getting these guys back on the show And if we don't go do this before we have MMA fighters to promote this event, that's all they're going to talk about.
Yep, I know.
So let's please.
We gotta get it. We gotta get it.
Let's
done.
get it done this week. Let's just do it. Let's do it tomorrow. I'm ready to go. Maybe they can punch the sinus infection out of my head, and then I can think clearly.
We got to
for
get
next
Austin
week.
on here. We've been struggling to get
He's
Austin
so
on. He is
busy.
so busy.
We
But
almost again more reason for us to go get this done so we could
Go
do
up there
it
and
in
harass
site
him.
interview, and then you could just play the video.
I just hope that you and Haley can handle me sitting where we're second row as we're all together. We're on the end, so second row back. So I get a little loud during this thing. So
We're used to that with you.
It's going to be an interesting
We're gonna have fun.
matchup.
It's going to be a lot of
good time.
fun. I'm very, very excited. I can't wait for the first person to pull out the steel chair. No,
No, that
do
probably
we have a
won't
ladder match in this thing? No,
maybe if you and I go in there, that'd probably be the only way we.
so I could beat you. I think.
Yeah.
To stop you from climbing a ladder, it'd be great.
I told Austin the last time we saw him, you got to plug our show. Just give it to us. Maybe if we get up there and
Plug
get
our
beat up,
show, we can't even get up there to get our butts kicked.
I was gonna say, go up there, get our butt kicked.
Let's get
Jared
this
and
done this
Dimitri,
week, please.
Yeah.
Even if it makes me bowling the Swiss on Sunday difficult, I want to get it done. I can't do it. The anticipation is brutal. All right. Other sports going on. NASCAR. Kyle Busch. I know everybody now is going to boo. He got his first win with Richard Childress Racing. Almost had back-to-back wins. He almost won the Daytona 500. He was leading on lap 200, but unfortunately the caution flag was out and they were going to overtime. He kind of dominated the last section of this race, and It is the last 2-mile version of Auto Club that NASCAR will ever run on. A lot of that place got sold for like $2 billion, and then they're going to turn it into a short track, and then the rest of that area that they are taking down, I'm sure will get turned into farmland or something. But Chase Elliott finished second, Ross Chastain third, Daniel Suarez fourth, Kevin Harvick finished fifth, and Vegas is this weekend, which is probably why Haley is going to Vegas, but she will land after the race gets done. But
she's getting lucky to go. On the golf side, as kind of a crazy ending to this one. Chris Kirk comes away with a win. It was crazy watching it.
Yeah.
You got to stay safe. All you got to do is stay safe with your second shot on the 18th, and he hits it right, ends up in the water. Found my secret. Yep. And hits it into the air. Second air shot and ends up losing the outright lead. Ends up shooting a great third shot in the first playoff hole to get close to knock it in for that one. So Chris Kirk comes in with his first win in a couple of years with that one. He did shoot 62 low round of the tournament on Friday, so it's crazy to watch that. Couple of tournaments coming up this weekend. You've got the Puerto Rico Open in Rio Grande, Puerto Rico, but the big one is the Arnold Palmer Invitational happening at Bay Hill in Orlando. Our buddy, Mr. Joel Damon, is scheduled to play in this tournament. So
yes,
so be watching this.
Joel.
Yep.
And then XFL or something.
Well, I just threw it in there. I figured
not even a thing. When are we going to do our Aussie Rules football preview? That's going to be the big question. I have not put that on our schedule.
Listen, the first game is the 17th, and that's not ours. Ours is the night of the 18th.
Yeah, so it might have to be the 14th. So I'm not I'm not here next week. So the week after that, we're going to have NFL free agency starting. We're going to have the AL and NL East preview, and we're going to have to do the Aussie Rule preview there too. So slightly jam-packed show when we come back. Oh yeah, March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness.
Oh gosh.
I'm hoping that we'll be done with the local stuff for other than
some LC stuff closing up.
Few LC baseball
LC
things.
Baseball will not fully get going in high school just yet, or right about that time when they'll get started.
Washington softball started practice on Monday, so
it's all kicking off. There is no rest at all.
No rest for the wicked or the weary, right?
Or us.
Or pretty much.
But yeah, that's gonna do it. We somehow pushed through. I apologize for LC Sports for rushing through all of
We just had
that
so
stuff.
much.
But we got into honestly, you know what? We got into some fun conversations.
Mhm.
Hopefully Robert Taylor is down to jump on the show with you
We'll have to see. I'll have to
next
message him.
week. It'll be interesting because I don't think you two have ever had a legit conversation, have you?
Oh, we've texted back and forth.
Yeah, but
that's
no
about
in-person stuff.
No.
So it'll actually make me kind of sad to not be there because I've been trying to get Robert Taylor on the show in different aspects throughout, and he's he's busy and he works
busy
in the
boy.
morning and he's going to school as well, and he has a little kid.
Yep.
So I totally get it, but hopefully you guys will have fun doing that next week. You guys, well, mostly you will do the AL and NL Central preview. I'm sure some free agent or franchise tags will be hit at that point.
Mhm.
Will Derek Carr end up somewhere?
Will he be a Jet?
Will he? Oh man, please be a Jet. Please. I'm begging. That's something. It's just I
told you we said it.
Please do not make all this Jet talk turn into Cole.
We said it a few minutes at the very beginning of the day. It's been all Jet talk, and you're one quarterback away. We thought Wilson was the answer.
We did not.
He found somebody's mom, and along they went.
I don't even know if that's PG.
Yeah, it's not. So
I've been waiting to play that
So
one all day, and I'm sure there's a couple times I could have put it and forgot. Yeah, there you go.
Listen, when you and I, it's been all about Lamar Jackson, all about the Jets this whole NFL offseason. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes was not the biggest topic going on right now.
No, absolutely not. Maybe next week if
Maybe.
Robert Taylor is on the show again. I will not be here. I will be covering the opening round over here at the P1 FCU Activity Center. Come check out those games. Help fill this place up so that, the NAI is like, hey, we want to come back. It's going to be great. So some good games will be on tap. I don't know. We won't know until Thursday who will be coming here, but we know LC will be playing.
Right. Also, this weekend, LC baseball, another home matchup. It was a changed weekend, so come in. Two double headers. I will have the PA call on Saturday with that. Looking forward to that game. And then they're taking on Eastern Oregon, and it's going to be a good matchup. Especially the way they played this last week. Look for Thomas. Look for Signorelli. And I'm excited to watch.
Thomas has been so good. I mean, it's not surprising he's a transfer from Vanderbilt, which is still wild to me that he went from Vanderbilt to here. But there's some really, really good players on that team, and they just continue to be deep.
Right.
And maybe Cruz Hepburn will play. He's played off and on throughout the old Lewiston process.
I'm excited to watch Pooh play over at second base because I only watched him play third last year. So looking forward to seeing that.
All going to work, and you guys can talk about all of that next week right here on the R&R Sports Report. And who knows, maybe we will have done that MMA thing. I'm going to get Robert on that because we got to get this finished. We got to get it done. Absolutely. We got the tickets. We'll be at the MMA thing in
April 29th. Hey, we'll be there. Sign if you come out, we'll sign autographs.
Jesus.
Get the autograph from the birthday boy. Again, happy birthday, buddy.
It's my non-birthday. It's unbirthday. I have no idea what you're talking about. You know what? I did so good going through the entire day, even though Haley went out there and spread it all over Facebook. Nobody I saw in person wished me a happy birthday because I did my job and I kept my mouth quiet. And it's great.
I did. I put it on the sports
I got through
record.
it. No, not in person.
I know, but
But nobody at the baseball games wished me happy birthday. I did my job. I was happy with it. Nobody knew.
Denny Grubb failed. I'm gonna have to let
no
Denny
idea,
know.
And I'm so happy about it. It worked out beautifully. But anyways, Robert will be back next week with somebody. Hopefully Robert Taylor, and I'll be back the week after that. But until then, that is Robert Hagan. I am Randy Isbell. This is the R&R Sports Report. And until next Tuesday, we are out.